What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Zayden Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Isaiah, and we are live. And on tonight, y'all, we'll be talking about Kentucky women's basketball hiring Kenny Brooks, former head coach of James Madison and Virginia Tech. And then also we will be talking about some NCAA Sweet 16 talk. And y'all, ESPN has done this thing where they're calling it like you can do your second chance picks. And so I will be giving my picks for the Sweet 16. It's kind of weird because I don't know if they've ever done something like this before. But yeah, they're giving us a chance to kind of redeem ourselves more or less. And my men's bracket is totally jacked up. But luckily, my women's bracket actually is still pretty good. All the teams I predicted to be in the Final Four are currently still playing right now. So my women's bracket is looking pretty good. My men's bracket is already jacked up. But we will get into that. Y'all, kind of similar, like I said last night. Won't be on here a long time, right? The Clippers are playing at 6:30, and then the Lakers are playing at 7. And then we got the Nuggets, which I wouldn't be on here this long anyways. But then we have the Nuggets and the Suns playing at 9. So it's a lot of NBA action. So I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as I can. Without further ado, let's get into it, y'all. So the news that shocked me, and I would say shocked a lot of us yesterday, was that Kenny Brooks, he's decided to become the next head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats. And y'all, this is an amazing hire for Kentucky. You're talking about Kenny Brooks. Is one of the best coaches in women's basketball right now. And for Kentucky, this is a program that, the last few years, especially, we know the last 2 years, right, they've been bad. But really, when you look at the last few years, y'all, Kentucky really has not been that relevant. Now, they a couple years ago, 2 years ago, the 2021-22 season, that year they did win the SEC tournament. But, outside of that, y'all, Kentucky really hasn't done anything that spectacular the last 5 to 10 years. Just being honest with you, they really haven't. So they needed to hire a coach, y'all, that could really get this fan base, get this program excited again, somebody that could come in and immediately bring them success. And then that's why they brought Kenny Brooks to Lexington, Kentucky, because, y'all, he is a coach that could bring them immediate success, and that's what they need. They did not need, no disrespect, but I didn't feel like they needed like a super young head coach, or a first-time head coach, because normally, y'all, with like first-time head coaches or super young head coaches, it might take you maybe 2 or 3 years, right? It might take them 2 or 3 years to really get things going. But Kentucky, man, you're playing in the SEC, and not just the SEC, but just looking at the landscape of women's college basketball as a whole, y'all, it's so talented. It's so many great teams, great players in all conferences, okay? Let me repeat. It's so many great teams and great players in all conferences. Literally, even you look at Jackson State, right? They play in the SWAC. That's a really, really, really great team right there. So women's college basketball is super loaded with great players and great teams. Kentucky could not wait around, y'all. But let's get into it. This is what I wrote about Kentucky. So what this means for Kentucky, this is a home run hire for Kentucky. Brooks has a proven track record of building teams up from nothing to something. He did that at James Madison and at VT, which is Virginia Tech. He also is a great recruiter and should be able to convince elite talent to come to Lexington. After 2 years of being down, Kentucky is back up. And y'all, I truly believe that Kentucky is on this way to being one of the best teams, not just in the SEC, right? Because your conference, that's cool and dandy. But I think I think Kentucky is back on their way to being one of the best teams in women's college basketball. Because Kenny Brooks, we saw what he did at James Madison, right? James Madison, he was there for about 13, 14 years. Before him, y'all, James Madison, they really didn't have any success. But when he was at James Madison, had a ton of success, y'all. I think he went to the tournament about 5 or 6 times, if I'm not mistaken, which is incredible. Then he goes to Virginia Tech, y'all, takes on a program that had never had any success, really. Let's just be honest. Virginia Tech really has not had any success. You're talking about, y'all, the last time before he got there, the last time they had been to the tournament was 2006. 2006 was the last time they had been to the NCAA tournament. So yeah, this is a program that not had success in recent years. And, he knew, Kenny Brooks knew when he took that job, man, that he was going to have to do a lot of work to even just get them to be a decent team. But y'all, he took them from being a decent team. His first, maybe his first 3 years, they were decent. And then y'all, these last 3 years been great. You talk about the last 3 years, y'all, he won 23 games in 2021, 31 games in 2022. And then this past season, he won 25 games, including winning the ACC regular season championship. And so Kenny Brooks, he's been doing this for a long time, y'all. He's been a head coach since 2002, right? So, wow, that's a long time. And he has shown that he can build teams up from scratch and make them into very competitive teams. And so for Kentucky, this is what they needed. And I absolutely love this hire, y'all. I really do. I do. Okay, I give this a grade of an A+. That's why I give this hire A+, because Kenny Brooks is the right man for this job. He is. Because, y'all, you're talking about the SEC that has, over the last few years, has probably been, maybe the first or second best conference in women's college basketball. And now, in particular, this season, y'all, we saw some new teams emerge, right? You got Vanderbilt coming on the scene now. You got Auburn coming on the scene. Ole Miss is coming on the scene. So it's not just South Carolina, LSU, and Tennessee. And then we always know with Christy Curry, Alabama, she always has them girls playing super hard, right? They just coming off unfortunately, a disappointing loss in the round 32 against Texas. But Christy Curry, she always has them playing extremely hard, extremely tough. You can't sleep on Texas A&M with Coach Johnny Taylor. We know they're only going to get better. So, Georgia, y'all, I like their head coach, Katie Henderson. We know what she did her first year. Then this season, bad year for Georgia, but that's because a lot of the players that she brought over from UCF, they graduated, so she didn't have them. But you still can't sleep on Georgia. So it's an SEC that's really loaded from top to bottom. The depth of this conference is insane. Because at any given night, y'all, you can get beat. I don't care who the heck it is. Any team can beat you in this conference. Seriously. So, and we saw it this year, and we've seen the last maybe 5 to 10 years that any team in this conference can beat you any given night. I don't care what their record is or any of that. Okay, they can beat you. And so for Kentucky, it was time to make a splash hire. That's what they needed, y'all. And that's what they did. Right? Because Kentucky, you got to be able to play with the big teams in the SEC and across women's college basketball. Period. You got to be able to play with them. Because if you're not able to play with them, you're going to get left behind. And that's why they look the way they looked the last few years. Because you got all these other teams just constantly getting better year after year after year. And Kentucky is regressing. And with the way women's college basketball is right now, y'all, and we got all these great players coming in, and all these players are going to various teams. That's why it's so even now. That's why so many great teams in women's college basketball. It didn't used to be like this, but it's like this now because these players, they're spread out. So they're great players all over, right? South, East, West, all of this, y'all. Northwest. I mean, it's just so many great players. So Kentucky needed to go out and hire Kenny Brooks. Some other coaches they could have potentially went after. Yeah, it is. But this right here, y'all, was the best option for them, getting Kenny Brooks. Now, we don't know what the contract details are. We know they gave him a lot of money. I mean, that kind of goes without being stated. We know they had to, right? Because for them to be able to convince Kenny Brooks to leave Virginia Tech and all the success he's had the last 3 years there, having Liz Kelly and Georgia Amore, Kentucky, I mean, they gave him the bag, y'all. Let's just be honest. But it's well worth it. Well worth it. So I love this. All right, y'all. So let's get into Kenny Brooks' tenure at Virginia Tech. So he had 180-82 record, a 76-60 record in ACC play, 4 NCAA tournament appearances, 7 20-plus win seasons, ACC regular season champion this season, Final Four appearance. They did that last season. and 131 season, which also came last season, the 22-23 season. Y'all, wow, we just got to clap for that. Yes, we have to clap for that, because for him to have 720-plus win seasons at Virginia Tech, 4 NCAA tournament appearances at Virginia Tech, and a Final Four appearance and a 31 season at Virginia Tech. Y'all, I told y'all, when Kenny Brooks got there in 2016, it had been 10 years since they were last in the tournament. 2006 was the last time. But with him, y'all, in 8 seasons, they went to the tournament 4 times. Wow. Wow. And so, Kentucky, you have one of the best coaches in college basketball, period. I think his thing standing right now, Kenny Brooks, he's a top 10 coach in women's college basketball. It's just that simple. And y'all, amazing recruiter. Because he was able to get Georgia Amore and Liz Kelly, 2 of the best players in Virginia Tech basketball history. And he was able to convince them to come to VT. Think about that, y'all. Virginia Tech, Liz Kelly and Georgia Amore chose Virginia Tech. You talk about Georgia Amore and Liz Kelly, 2 of the best players in women's college basketball. And he convinced them to come to Virginia Tech, a program that had been bad for so many years. But look at what they did, y'all. Wow. And for Kentucky, y'all, that has kind of been there, or not kind of to it, that has been their Achilles heel the last few years. Right? It has. Their recruiting has not been great. We all know, okay? We all know that back in 2018, they got this girl by the name of Ryan Howard, one of the best players in the WNBA right now, arguably the greatest player in Kentucky women's basketball history. And they were able to get her, and we know Ryan, we know what she did. She, as soon as she got there, she was already one of the best players in the country. Right? She was. But, outside of her, y'all, they never got that star player. They just had a bunch of, solid to good players. Treasure Hunt, Jada Walker, Maddie Shear, Dreonna Edwards, Robin Benton. Solid players, but none of those players like really gets you excited, right? Just to be honest, they don't. They're not bad, right? Blair Green, Emma King. These are solid players, y'all. But none of those players I just named are starters. Or none of them are stars, I should say. Some of them were stars, but none of those players are stars. Right? We also remember Jasmine Massagill. So I don't like it. Right? I didn't like that. Not bad, just not good, per se. Right? Not bad, but just not good enough, y'all. Not when you're playing in the SEC, not with the way women's college basketball is right now. But with Kenny Brooks, they're getting one of the best coaches and recruiters in the nation. Y'all, players are want to, and I'm talking about big time players, they're going to want to go to Kentucky. So if you South Carolina, if you LSU, man, Tennessee, y'all better buckle your seatbelts because Kentucky's back, right? They're on the scene again. Players players are going to want to go there again, like they used to back in the day. So just watch out. Y'all, Kentucky is definitely back. And I say that by next season, not this coming up season, but by next season, they'll be one of the best teams in the SEC. Seriously, they gonna challenge for an SEC tournament championship. But even beyond that, they're gonna be a big factor in the NCAA tournament. That's what really matters, right? In my opinion, y'all, a conference championship is cool, but what you do in the NCAA tournament, that's what really, really matters, right? Because that's what all the chips get moved, right? That's where all the chips get moved, y'all, to the middle of the table, and that's put up or shut up time for real. Then, not no tournament, not no SEC or ACC or Big 12 or Big 10 tournament. No, it's the NCAA tournament. Everybody's looking at you. Everyone's watching you, right? All eyes on you, all on you, Tupac. So you really had to bring it in, y'all. In Kentucky, man, I cannot wait to see what this team is going to do. So, potential candidates, right, for the Virginia Tech job. And y'all, to me, there are 3 coaches that I look at and I think would be perfect for this job. So the first one, we got Lindsey Edmonds, head coach of the Rice Owls. And we know what Rice almost did in the tournament. They almost upset LSU. And I think Lindsey Edmonds, she kind of similar to Kenny Brooks in the sense that both of them kind of start. First off, y'all, it's kind of funny because she was an assistant coach for Kenny Brooks at James Madison from 2009 to 2013. So she already knows. It was just kind of funny how they might end up coaching the same. He was at Virginia Tech. She could end up being at Virginia Tech. But both of them kind of have similar backgrounds, right? He was a coach at James Madison. She was a coach at Rice. She is the coach at Rice. So you're talking about 2 programs. People don't talk about them. Don't really get that much attention. But when Kenny Brooks was at James Madison, he made us pay attention to them because they were winning. And with Lindsey Edmonds, her 3 years at Rice, y'all, we paid attention to this, especially this year. But you talking about she has a 56-31 record. Excuse me, 56-37 record. That's a 60.2 win percentage. So that's really good. And she's coming off a near upset in the tournament against LSU, right? Against the Tigers, a team that I think is going to be in a national championship game. So I would love this hire for Virginia Tech. But there's somebody else, y'all, that I really would love, maybe a little bit more. And that is Gonzaga head coach Lisa Fortier, man. Lisa Fortier, y'all, wow. I mean, the job she has done in Gonzaga. We know Gonzaga is going to be playing on Friday, I believe, against Texas. In the game, y'all, that when I did my picks last week, for those that were watching, I told y'all that even though I picked Texas to win that game, I would not be surprised if Gonzaga pulls off the upset, man. Gonzaga is one. I think they probably are the most underrated team in women's college basketball. Like, seriously. That team is so good. 32-3 record. They went 16-0, y'all, in conference play. My goodness. I mean, Gonzaga has been probably the best mid-major team since 2016. I mean, the last 8 years they've been in the tournament. They've won, 20-plus games every single year. This year, they had 31 season. Lisa Fortier, y'all, she is a really great head coach. Like, she really is. And she's been doing it, since 2014. And y'all, you talk about she's been there since 2014. There's only been one season that they did not make it to the tournament. And that was her second year. Heck, even her first year, y'all, they won 26-8, made it to the Sweet 16. Right? And so she has, I mean, my goodness, y'all, 17-1, 2019 in conference play, 16-1, 2020 in conference play, 15-2, 2021 in conference play, 17-1, 2022 in conference play, and then this year 16-0 in conference play. Dominating, right? And people can say, "Oh, well, Zay is, it's Gonzaga, right? It's the WCC, West Coast Conference." Y'all, at the end of the day, I don't care. I don't care. Because if you're dominating your conference like that, I mean, y'all, pretty much every year, especially the last, maybe 5 or 6 years, they're only losing like 1 or 2 conference games a year. Like, you could say, oh, well, they're playing in the West Coast Conference. Y'all don't care. I don't care. I don't. And let's be honest, y'all. If Gonzaga was in a quote unquote better conference, we would talk about them. Well, I'm gonna talk about it because I watch Gonzaga play. That team is loaded, man. That's a really good team. They can score the ball at a very high clip, and they play defense at a very high clip as well. I mean, that's a really well-rounded team. That's why I was saying last week when I predicted them and Texas to play each other in the Sweet 16, I would not be at all surprised if they end up upsetting Texas. Okay, now I do have Texas going to the Final Four, but y'all, I'm telling you, Gonzaga's gonna give them everything they can handle. And so I look at Lisa Fortier and I'm like, I think she would be ready for that. I really think she would. Now, I think it would be hard to convince her to leave Gonzaga. I really do, y'all. I think it's gonna be tough now. It's really gonna be tough. But you talking about she's from California. You know, Gonzaga is in Spokane, Washington. So, you know, Washington, it's closer to California than Blacksburg, Virginia would be. So she can maybe want to stay there to be closer to home. But if she was to make that move, y'all, and become the next head coach at VT, they are going to continue what they've been doing, and that is being one of the best teams in the ACC the last 3-4 seasons. So I would really, really, really love that hire. Like, seriously, I really love that hire. Again, that's if she wants to make that jump. Because she might want to stay at Gonzaga and keep building. Because, I mean, y'all, Gonzaga, hey, they're one game away from going to the Elite Eight. So she might want to be like, you know what, let's keep saying what we can do. Maybe we get to that Final Four one day. So I wouldn't be at all be surprised, y'all, if she wants to stay. But if she is ready, Virginia Tech is a perfect job for her. And then lastly, y'all, one where I would like it. I don't know if I would love this. I would definitely like it. I don't know if I would love it the way I would like Lisa Fortner. But we have UNLV head coach Lindy Lauber Q. I think it's how you pronounce her last name. But look at the job she's done at UNLV. I mean, she's been there 4 seasons. Her first year, they missed the tournament. The last 3 years, they've been in the tournament. They've won 26 plus games the last 3 years. They won 26 games in 2021, 31 games in 2022, and they won 30 games in 2023 this past season. They've won their conference regular season championship the last 3 years, and kind of similar to Lisa Fortier, just dominating their conference. And I know you're going to say, well, that's the Mountain West. UNLV plays in the Mountain West. Again, y'all, I don't really care because if you're dominating your conference, whatever conference it is, West Coast, SWAC. That's what, like I say, with Coach Tamika Reed of Jackson State. She's one of the best coaches. She's an elite coach. Okay, she's one of the best coaches in women's college basketball, period. I think, in my opinion, Coach Tamika Reed is a top 10 coach in women's college basketball. I really honestly believe that. I think she could really go toe-to-toe with almost any coach in the nation, y'all. Think about that. I'm saying that about a head coach that's in the SWAC conference, but she has dominated the SWAC conference. And so, again, when you're dominating your conference, I cannot take that away from you. Because, y'all, if these coaches that are in these quote-unquote smaller conferences, if they weren't dominating, what would we say? Oh, see, you can't even beat the quote-unquote bad teams or the average teams. So how in the world do we expect you to move to the ACC, move to the Big 12, move to the Pac-12, where the conference is a little bit stronger, the competition is a little bit more stiffer? But y'all, the thing is, they're taking care of business in their conference. Now, the reason I like Lisa Fortier a little bit more, especially for Virginia Tech, is because she's been doing this for the last 10 seasons. And she has Gonzaga on the verge of going to the Elite Eight. So that's why I would love her a little bit more. But any one of these coaches, y'all, would be a good hire. But looking at maybe other coaches that I did put on this graphic, watch out for maybe, and this would kind of be shock to a lot of people. But y'all watch out for Coach Yo at Ole Miss because I think Virginia Tech could have interest in her. I really do. So that would be the one. Watch out for Coach Yo at Ole Miss, okay? Because obviously, Ole Miss, as much as she loves Ole Miss, Virginia Tech is a better job, and they're gonna have more resources. And Coach Yo is a great coach, so it would. I mean, what she done at Ole Miss, y'all, it would only be better at Virginia Tech because they got a whole lot more resources than Ole Miss does. So watch out for that. It'd be like a wild card one, but watch out for Coach Yo and Virginia Tech, y'all, because I could definitely see them having interest in her. They might not, but I think they probably will end up having some interest in Coach Yo. All right, y'all. So that was Kenny Brooks, Kentucky, and Virginia Tech potential hires. Now let's get into, like I said, to start this live, ESPN has this like second chance tournament challenge where if your bracket is messed up, like mine is, particularly my man's bracket, you can now do like your second chance bracket and predict the Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, and national champion. So that's what I'm gonna do for the men and women's, y'all. If you got any questions, hey, go ahead and feel free to leave. How's everyone doing on tonight? But that's what I'm finna do. So first, y'all, we're gonna start with the men, and then we'll do the women's, and I'll get up out y'all's way because I know it's 6:27. Y'all probably ready to watch this Clippers and Sixers game, and then at 7, we have the Lakers and Grizzlies playing. So I know y'all ready to get to those games just like I am. But y'all, let's go ahead and get into this man's Sweet 16. So we got on the East, we got UConn playing San Diego State, and we know UConn. I mean, UConn is just the best team in men's college basketball. You can make a case that UConn is really like the only elite team in men's college basketball. I mean, let's be honest, y'all. There's not really any elite teams in men's college basketball outside of UConn. I think Houston is a really, really good team. I think Tennessee is a really, really good team, but they're too inconsistent offensively. I think Purdue is a really good team, but Purdue, we still have to see. We know the last 3 years, y'all, what they've done in the tournament, where they've been upset. So we still have to see if they are past that or they still the same old Purdue. Right? Marquette, kind of the same deal. And then Marquette is still kind of battling through some injuries. So to me, Illinois, really good team, but I don't see them as being elite because their defense is not the best. Like, there's no really Duke. They can kind of get stagnant offensively at times. So there are no, and they live and die by the 3-point shot. So there are really no great teams in men's college basketball, in my opinion, outside of UConn. UConn is definitely great. I mean, y'all, they just been dominant. They have the depth, they have the shooting, the defense, the size, the length, all that. So no disrespect to San Diego State, but this is gonna be an easy game for UConn. We know this was a national championship game from last year, and UConn blew them out in that game. And I think they're gonna do the same thing. Give me UConn to win that game. Next up, y'all, we got Illinois and Iowa State. And it's crazy because I actually picked Iowa State to get upset to Drake because I thought Drake was going to beat Washington State. Well, they did it. And now look, here Iowa State is in the Sweet 16. Iowa State is one of the best defensive teams in the country. The problem is their offense can be kind of inconsistent at times, but so far the offense has been pretty solid. Illinois, y'all, led by Terrence Shannon Jr., super electric. I just mentioned, though, Illinois' defense is very consistent. So, some of the old people I've heard say, y'all, something has to give, right? The older generation would say something has to give because Iowa State is a very great defensive team. Illinois is a very great offensive team. So who are you taking? Y'all, I'm taking Illinois to win this game. I am because, Iowa State's offense has been pretty solid the first 2 games, but I just don't know if they can do it again. I don't know if Iowa State can do it again. I don't. Be honest with y'all. I don't know. I don't know if they can do it again. And so I'm picking Illinois to win this game. This is a tough game because, again, Illinois, great offense, but not the best defensively. Iowa State, great defense, but inconsistent offensively. But I'm going to take Illinois to win that game. Let's move over to the South bracket, y'all. We got Houston taking on Duke. And very interesting matchup. Houston is the best defensive team in the country, but they are also probably one of the worst offensive teams in the country. Let's be honest. I mean, Houston, y'all, they only shoot at about 43% from the floor, about 34.4% from 3. Like, for a number 1 seed for a team that a lot of people think is a national championship contender, not great, obviously. You look at Duke, y'all, led by Cal Filipowski and Jeremy Roach. You know, Duke, they shoot a lot of threes. I just said a few minutes ago, they live and die by the three. And so you just wonder if Duke can make enough shots against Houston's defense. Because yeah, y'all, you know, when you're a team that you really live and die by the three, you never know when your 3-point shot is going to be on. Like, even you look at that first round matchup against Vermont, they only shot 6 of 18 from three, right? That's 33.3%, y'all. That's not great. Now against James Madison, they shot 50% from three. So you see the difference: 33% round one, 50% round two. So it's just, you don't know. And so, y'all, because of that reason, I have to take the Houston Cougars to win this game. I think Houston will be able to score enough points. I just think Duke, I don't know if their 3-point shot is going to be there. And then, again, y'all, Houston is the best defensive team in the country. They really put the clamps on you defensively. So I just worry that Duke is not going to be able to score enough points. And then, y'all, finally in the South bracket, we have NC State taking on Marquette. Easy pick for me, y'all. I'm going NC State. I still don't trust Marquette. I don't trust Marquette at all. I don't. Shaka Smart, y'all. His teams have really underachieved. Like, ever since he went on that, you know, spectacular run with VCU, 11, 12 years ago, his teams have just underachieved. And so I like NC State to win that game. I still cannot believe Colorado actually lost to Marquette. I cannot believe that. But I like NC State, y'all. I think NC State I think right now they're the better team, just honestly. I mean, y'all, this team has been super hot. You're talking about a team that's won, like 8-9 games in a row right now. I mean, my goodness, man. NC State is just absolutely rolling. And I love the way they play defense, y'all. I really, really, really do. I love the way they get after it. They're not the best 3-point shooter team. They only shoot 34% from three, but they only allow their opponents to shoot 34% from three. So I love the way they play defensively. Give me NC State to win that game. All right, y'all, let's go down to the West. We got North Carolina, Alabama, and then we have Clemson, Arizona. So first, y'all, North Carolina and Bama. Gotta admit, I was shocked that North Carolina beat Michigan State, because early on in that game, it looked like Michigan State was getting ready to upset it. I did pick Michigan State to upset North Carolina, but I gotta give credit, man. RJ Davis and Armando Bacot. They have stepped up after last season. You know, it felt like they took a major step back, coming off that surprising championship run that they had in 2022. And we just expected, like, you know, they were fit to take that next step. They did not. But this year, it finally feels like, y'all, they are become leaders. Because we knew RJ Davis and Armando Bacot were good players, but we were ready for them to be leaders. They are finally leading their team, right, by example, and they're leading them vocally. So I really love that. Look at Alabama. Obviously, you know, Alabama scores a lot, right? Scores a lot. And so far, Alabama has been solid defensively. But, you know, Alabama did play College of Charleston. You know, like, not great. You know, they did play. Hey, Bama, hey, fans, don't come for me. Y'all did play Grand Canyon. You know, not great. In that Grand Canyon game, y'all, you saw Alabama struggle, right? They struggle. And this is my problem for teams that, like, if you live or die by the three, or if you're just so reliant on your offense, you can have major problems. Because say if your offense that you know, every game, y'all, you're not gonna shoot 50% from the floor, 40% from three. It just doesn't happen. You're gonna have off shooting nights. And Alabama had a really off shooting night against Grand Canyon, right? They shot 37% from the floor, 26% from three. They still were able to win that game, but that's because Grand Canyon shot even worse. Grand Canyon shot 32% from three, from the floor, 10% from three. So they were even worse than Alabama when it came to shooting. But I just think, y'all, North Carolina, they think they're too big, too strong for Alabama. And I don't think Alabama's gonna get lucky again in terms of their opponent being that abysmal from the three and from the floor. Just, I don't like it. So I got North Carolina winning that game, y'all. And then next up, we got Clemson versus Arizona. Gotta be honest with y'all, I'm really surprised Arizona's even in the predicament that they are in. But Caleb Love, he's been pretty consistent. Now, he did have a kind of off second half. He did. But in that second round matchup against, I can't even really remember who they played against right now. Yeah, against Dayton. Yeah, I don't know why I was going to say Arizona. That's Arizona. But yeah, he did have a kind of off second half against Dayton. But his first half was very strong. Again, we know with Arizona, they are led by Caleb Love. What's going on, John? How you doing, brother? But they're led by Caleb Love. And if Caleb Love is ready to go, if he's playing well, then they're going to be ready to go. They're going to be playing well. But if he isn't, then it's not going to go well for them. But, for Arizona, you need Caleb Love to get going early against Clemson, man. Clemson is a very attacking, aggressive defense. So, yeah, they really, really, really need him to get going early. I think he will, y'all. I like Arizona to win that game. Arizona just has a little bit too much offense for Clemson, even though Clemson is aggressive. Next up, we have Purdue Gonzaga. Give me Gonzaga. I'm not even going to take too much time. I already told y'all my spiel about about Purdue. And Gonzaga, oh, my goodness, Mark Few. Man, this is a team, y'all, that back in January looked like they were going to miss. I mean, let's be honest. They looked like they were going to miss the tournament. Okay, Gonzaga like they were going to miss the entire tournament. And now this team, I think they're going to Elite Eight. And then we got Creighton versus Tennessee. As y'all know, Creighton, they were the team I picked to go to the national championship game against UConn. I'm sticking with that, y'all. I'm not changing. I got Creighton going to the Elite Eight and beating Tennessee. Tennessee's offense is kind of like Houston, too consistent. Now, y'all, we got an Elite Eight matchup, UConn versus Illinois. I kind of try to speed through this. UConn, we got, Houston versus NC State. I like Houston to win that game. And then, y'all, we got North Carolina and Arizona. Give me North Carolina. And then we got Creighton and Gonzaga. Even though I would argue, I would probably argue that Gonzaga is playing better basketball right now than Creighton. But again, I picked Creighton to go to a national championship game. I'm not changing from that. Then we got a UConn, North Carolina Final Four. Give me UConn. We got a Houston, Creighton Final Four. Give me Creighton. And then this is my original pick, UConn versus Creighton. I like UConn to win that game, y'all. So I got the UConn Huskies winning the national championship. That did not change from when I did my bracket last week. All right, y'all. So let's get ready to get into it. Give me a second to get it pulled up. Doing, bro. How about you? I'm doing fine, man. What's going on? Hello, what's going on? Give me a second, y'all, for me to pull up this women's bracket. We can do this. Again, my women's bracket looks so much better than my men's bracket. All the teams I picked in the Final Four are still in the tournament right now. Whereas my men's bracket, the only two teams left, y'all, that I picked to be in the Final Four is UConn and Creighton. So, I picked Colorado and New Mexico, and them teams are gone. So, got that wrong. But, y'all, let's get into this. We got South Carolina, Indiana. South Carolina, I mean, this is an easy pick, South Carolina. Even though Indiana, I like Indiana. I like Mackenzie Holmes. But South Carolina, too much depth for them to be able to keep up. Next up, y'all, we got Oregon State and Notre Dame. And it's crazy because I'm not high on Oregon State like some people are. I picked Oregon State to get upset to Nebraska. They ended up winning that game. But, y'all, right now, Notre Dame, I mean, man, they are playing like, if we're being honest, y'all, outside of South Carolina, man, Notre Dame might be the second best team in women's college basketball right now. Like, seriously. I mean, they are rolling, y'all. Coach Ivy, I'm not sure what she told them because we know Notre Dame was kind of looking iffy in January. We knew they were going to the tournament, but we were like, Notre Dame might get bounced in around 32. But, y'all, since February, this has looked like a national championship team. Hannah Hidalgo, Maddie Westbell, and Sonia Citron. Man, that little three-headed monster that they have going on, y'all, they are not to be played with. So I like Notre Dame. I think they're going to blow out Oregon State. Again, I don't like Oregon State. I'm just not the biggest fan there. I don't know why they're a 3 seed, really. But that's just my opinion. I'm not the biggest fan of Oregon State. Notre Dame is going to blow them out, in my opinion. Next up, y'all, we got Iowa and Colorado. We know Iowa, they got a scare from West Virginia. Iowa had an off shooting night. Right? Caitlin Clark was able to wheel them to victory. But they had an all shooting night. And West Virginia, y'all, they played an aggressive style of defense. I mean, they were really, really, really getting after Iowa. I don't think Iowa was ready for West Virginia to be that aggressive, but they were. Iowa, y'all, this is the team that puts up about 92 points per game. They only scored 64, so they went differently. But they were still able to get it done. They wanted their defense. And that's the biggest question, right? That's the biggest question that we have for Iowa. We know y'all can score defensively. But again, Kayla Clark, y'all, I mean, this is why she's an elite player. This is why she's one of the best players in women's college basketball history. She's able to will them to victory and make those key plays. Okay, she was not great in the first half, but hey, wise man once told me, y'all, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And she definitely finished that game very well. And for Colorado, being honest, I thought Colorado was going to lose to Drake, but they're starting to actually gain some momentum. But y'all, I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with Iowa. Iowa, you really don't see them having that many all-shooting nights. So that was kind of like, it was just a rare all-shooting night for them. And unfortunately, West Virginia was still not able to take advantage of that because they still lost the game. So give me the Hawkeyes to win that game. And then lastly, in Regional 2, we have UCLA and LSU. And it's crazy because I picked UNLV to get to the round. I picked UNLV to get to the Sweet 16 and actually defeat UCLA on their way to getting to the Sweet 16 when they end up getting bounced around, running to Creighton. And now look, UCLA is in the Sweet 16. You know, UCLA, I think y'all have heard me mention some of these players before, but Lauren Best, their center, great player. Charisma Osborne, one of the best defensive players in the nation. Kiki Rice, just a very heady two-way point guard. She really cannot shoot, but she does all the little things, y'all. She really does everything else at a really high level. You know, LSU, they're led by Angel Reese, the Bayou Barbie, and Flajay Johnson, and Haley Van Lith, and, Anissa Morrow, and Michaela Wiggs. And they got, Aaliyah Del Rosario, and last year Paul coming off the bench. So they really got 7. And that's it, right? LSU is 7 deep. Some teams are 10 or 11 deep, but LSU is 7 deep. But I like their 7 players against UCLA. I do. I like UCLA's 3 players, that big 3 of Charisma Osborne, Kiki Rice, and Lauren Best. But outside of that, don't really like them. Give me LSU to win the game. A little bit too much offense. And I don't think UCLA will be able to stop them. Next up, y'all, heading up to Regional 4, we have Texas taking on Gonzaga. And like I said last week, when I was filling out my bracket, I actually had this matchup occurring, and I had Texas winning, but I stated, y'all, I said I would not be surprised if Gonzaga wins this game because, man, this is a very, very, very good Gonzaga team, and they're going to give Texas everything they can handle. And, y'all, let's be honest, these teams are very similar. If you look at the statistics, both of these teams average about 81.5 points per game. Both of these teams give up about 60 points per game. So they are dominating everybody. 2 great offensive and defensive teams. But I think in the end, y'all, Madison Booker, I got stated this last week. I think in the end, Madison Booker is going to probably hit like a little mid-range shot like she's done time and time again this season, her freshman year. And it's probably going to win the game. But, man, if Gonzaga wins this game, I would not be surprised at all. But give me the Longhorns to win a very close game. And then next up, y'all, we got NC State and Stanford. And it's crazy because I picked Tennessee to actually defeat both NC State and Stanford. Unfortunately, y'all, Tennessee, let's be honest, they probably got screwed because that was a horrible. I could not believe the referee gave NC State a timeout. Like, I still can't believe that happened. If y'all watched that game, man, Kelly Harper was so pissed off, which I don't blame her because I was pissed off. But nevertheless, y'all, here we go. We got NC State and Stanford. And, NC State, Sanaa Rivers, y'all, her junior year, this has been the best year she has had. She's improved her offensive game. We already knew she was athletic and could play defense, but she has really improved as an offensive player, y'all. She can shoot a 3 now. Her handles got better. You get Stanford led by Cameron Brink. Y'all, that was an amazing game. Did y'all watch that game? Stanford versus Iowa State. Her and Audie Crooks were going at it. I love it, y'all. Both of them end up getting fouled. But I love after the game, they show respect to one another. Cameron Brink said something along the lines of like, you are so like Blake and good or something like that. So I just love seeing those 2 young women just show their respects to one another. 2 of the best centers in women's college basketball. We know Cameron Brink is getting ready to head off to the draft next month. But that was just amazing battle to see 2 of the best centers go at each other, man. Y'all, it's just great seeing great players compete. It really is, right? That's what we live for as fans. We want to see the best players, whether it's NBA, NFL, women's college basketball. We want to see them go at each other and really compete, and they did. Y'all, I like Stanford to win this game because Cameron Brink, I think she's going to clog up that paint. and she's gonna make it very difficult for NC State's guards, particularly Sanaya Rivers. You know, Sanaya Rivers, she loves to drive to the basket. And I think Cameron Briggs gonna make it hard for NC State to score. Give me Stanford to win that game. Next up, y'all, we got USC and Baylor. Hey, this is almost say Juju on that beat, baby. Next up, y'all, we got UConn and Duke. And Duke, hey, great run. They said they upset Ohio State, but this is totally. And I was surprised they upset Ohio State because I love my girl JC Sheldon at Ohio State. But y'all, different monster, Paige Beckers and Aaliyah Edwards. Hey, give me the Huskies to win that game. All right, y'all. So going back up to the top, we got South Carolina and Notre Dame. I like the Gamecocks to get it done. Hey, I spoke the praise of Notre Dame, but hey, Gamecocks, baby, all day. Next up, we got Iowa and LSU, the rematch of the 2023 National Championship game. And y'all, I like LSU to quote-unquote upset Iowa. I don't think Iowa. We saw last year, Iowa, they really struggled with Angel Reese. Well, now this year, you got Anissa Morrow and Aaliyah Del Rosario that you have to worry about as well. So if you couldn't handle one tall player that's very talented, how are you going to handle three tall players that are very talented? I like LSU to win that game, y'all. And coming back on down, we got Texas versus Stanford. I had Texas in my bracket when I figured out last week going to the Final Four. I still do. I like Master Book, and I had USC going to the Final Four in my bracket last week. I still do. I like them to win that game. All right, y'all. So we got South Carolina versus Texas. I like the Gamecocks to go back to the championship game like they did a couple years ago. And then we got USC versus LSU. I mean, y'all, this is going to be a great matchup if it happens because you're talking about two programs that have some of the greatest players in women's basketball history, right? LSU have Simone Augustus. You have Sylvia Fowles, right? USC, you got Cheryl Miller, you got the McGee sisters, you got Cynthia Cooper, you got Lisa Leslie. And now they got some young star players, Juju Watkins, Juju on that beat versus Angel Reese, the Bayou Barbie, right? Baltimore's finest right there. But y'all, I got LSU winning that game. As much as I love Juju, I just think LSU, that man, I just think it's just too much, man, too much. I mean, trying to deal with Angel Reese and Anissa Morrow and Flage and Haley and Daryl Rosario and Lance Chip Howard and Michaela Williams, I think it's a little bit too much. And so, y'all, we getting a matchup that we probably a lot of us want. South Carolina versus LSU. Cleveland, Ohio, baby. Cleveland, this is for you on April 7th. I got South Carolina winning the national championship, which would be 3 for them in the last 7 seasons. Yeah, y'all, go Gamecocks. I got South Carolina winning. So how y'all feeling? How y'all feeling? Those are my picks. It's kind of cool that ESPN decided to do this, giving us a chance to kind of redeem ourselves, quote unquote. But yeah, so those are my picks. Like I said, for the women's, y'all, it remained the same. For the men, it was a little slight tweak. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little slight tweak because now I got Houston going to the Final Four, and I didn't have them going to the Final Four. But hey, and I didn't have North Carolina going to the Final Four. But yeah, those are my picks. How y'all feeling? John said good. That's what's up, brother. All right, y'all. So yeah, there it goes. That is my thoughts on Kentucky women's basketball hiring Kenny Brooks, and those are my NCAA Sweet 16 picks. I want to say, y'all, tomorrow we will be on here live at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time to watch Kenny Brooks press conference. I posted in the community tab to let y'all know that we will be on here live to discuss that. So I cannot wait for that. Remember, y'all, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. So, hey, be, as they say, be there or be square. So, hope y'all will be there so we can watch that. Great moment for Kentucky. Great moment for Kenny Brooks and his family. And cannot wait to see that. But, yeah, y'all, remember, laughter is good medicine. So, make sure you get your daily dose. Y'all know I'm in it, man. I love y'all. God bless. Peace.